Hey everyone, welcome back. We're going to be diving into Secrets of the Millionaire Mind today.
Oh, exciting.
I know, right? Now, you might be rolling your eyes thinking like, ugh, another self-help book, but
Yeah.
trust me on this one. Okay. This one is really interesting, and I think it has a lot of really good advice we can all use, and it all comes down to this idea of like
Yeah.
a fundamental mindset shift, you know? And once you start thinking about things in this way,
All right.
it can change your approach to a lot of things.
That's exactly it. Like, it goes way beyond just finances.
Exactly.
It's about like those beliefs and those mental models that really affect all the choices that we make.
For sure. And the big idea that we're talking about today is this idea of both thinking.
Yes.
So the author argues that rich people, they think both,
Mhm.
whereas people who are maybe not as wealthy get stuck in this
Yeah.
like either or kind of thinking.
It's like that scarcity versus abundance mindset, right? It's fascinating how this connects to all this research that's been done in psychology on mindsets too.
Right.
Like, think about either thinking often comes from a place of fear
Right.
or what they call like a fixed mindset in psychology.
Ooh, tell me more about that.
So fixed mindset, it's this belief that like your talents, your abilities, they're kind of set in stone.
Okay.
So you might think to yourself, well, I can't be successful in my career. And you
Right.
have a great family life.
Right.
Or is one or the other.
Yeah, like I can either be fit or I can enjoy good food.
Yeah, exactly. And this book is all about like, nope, you can have both.
Yes. Okay, I love that.
Like throwing that voice out the window.
Yeah.
And instead of choosing one or the other, the author's like, ask yourself, how can I have both?
Yeah.
He even has this analogy about like having your cake and eating it too.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I gotta admit, when I read that, I was like,
Oh,
ah,
yeah.
all right, you've got my attention.
Yeah, it's catchy.
It really is. It's so simple, but it just makes so much sense.
But anyway, so he talks about this concept of both.
Right.
But does he give like any real world examples of it?
Oh, he has tons of them.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, this is great in theory,
Yeah.
but show me how it actually works.
And these aren't just like vague stories of success. They're super detailed.
Okay.
Like he tells you exactly how he used this mindset
Cool.
to get through all these like real challenges.
Awesome.
One example that I thought was really interesting was this negotiation that he had
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
with a supplier.
It would have been so easy for him to just fall into that I win, you lose trap, you know?
Totally. But instead of seeing it as a battle,
Right.
he went into it thinking, okay, how can we both benefit from this deal?
I love that.
And it's amazing he figured out a way to get what he wanted
Yeah.
without having to spend extra. And the supplier was happy too.
That's awesome. A win-win for everyone.
It's a true both victory, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's like one specific example, but does this also apply to like...
Bigger life decisions.
It does, and he talks about this when he's searching for a vacation home in Arizona.
Ooh, yes, the dream home story.
Yeah, so everyone was telling him he was going to have to spend over $1 million to get what he wanted in his ideal location.
Wow.
Most people would have either just settled for a less desirable place
Yeah.
or just completely given up on that dream.
Right, because it just seems impossible.
Exactly, the classic either trap.
Yep.
But he refused to compromise. It's like, nope, I want the perfect house, and I want to stay within my budget.
Okay, so he just kept looking even when it seemed hopeless.
He did. He really believed in that, both.
Wow, that takes a lot of faith.
It does.
So what happened?
And here's the crazy part. A few months later, the owners of this house, in his dream location,
Yeah.
with every single thing that he wanted,
No way.
decided to drop the price to just under $1 million.
Whoa. So he got his dream home and he stayed within his budget.
It's like the universe was like, okay, you really believe in this both things, so here you go.
That's amazing. So I have to ask, do you think that's just a coincidence?
It makes you wonder, right?
It does.
Did his belief in both somehow influence the outcome?
Right.
Did it make him more aware of opportunities that other people might have missed?
Yeah, it really makes you think.
That's what I love about this book.
Yeah.
It really gets you thinking about the power of our mindsets.
Totally. Like, what if just holding on to that both intention actually changes the possibilities around us?
That's exactly what he's trying to say.
Oh,
Don't limit yourself with either thinking.
right.
Embrace the both. And you might be amazed at what happens.
Okay, I am so on board with this idea.
Do too.
But I'm also curious about like the psychology behind it. You mentioned the fixed mindset earlier.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little more about that?
So with a fixed mindset, you think your qualities, like your intelligence or your talent, are just fixed.
Okay.
And that often leads to being afraid of failing. Because if you fail, it just proves you're not good enough.
Right.
A growth mindset is the opposite.
Yeah, okay.
It's like saying, okay, challenges are opportunities to learn and grow.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. So it's like someone with a fixed mindset might say,
Uh-huh.
ugh, I'm just not good at math.
Yeah.
But someone with a growth mindset would say, you know what, I can get better at math if I just work at it.
That's such a better way to think about it.
Right.
Yeah, and that totally connects to this both thinking.
It does.
Because if you believe your abilities are just fixed, then you're just going to accept those limitations.
Exactly. And you settle for either.
Right.
But if you have that growth mindset, you're like, no, I can grow. I can expand both is totally possible.
So it's not just wishful thinking. It's about actually developing a mindset
Yeah.
that supports growth and possibility.
Exactly. It's about knowing that you're not limited
Yeah.
by these boundaries that you've set for yourself or that other people have set for you.
So we can stretch ourselves,
Yes.
challenge those assumptions, and create those new possibilities by really embracing that both mindset.
That's the power of it.
This is so powerful. And it's not even just about money.
Right.
It's about how we approach life, you know?
Exactly. Life with a sense of abundance and possibility.
Totally. Speaking of abundance, let's talk about the connection between money and happiness.
Okay. Yeah.
There's always this debate going on, you
Yeah.
know?
Mhm.
Does money actually make you happy?
Right.
Where does the author land on that whole debate?
Well, he doesn't shy away from the fact that money's important.
Okay.
He even calls it a lubricant.
Okay.
It makes life run a little smoother.
I can see that.
But he also says rich people understand that you need both financial well-being and happiness.
So it's not a one or the other kind of thing.
Nope, not at all.
You don't have to choose between being wealthy or being happy.
You got it.
Okay, good, because I was a little worried about that.
He sees money as a tool
Okay.
to help you have a happier life
Okay.
because it gives you freedom, security.
Right.
And you can chase your passions without stressing about bills all the time.
You know, that's a perspective we don't hear very often.
Mhm.
It's not about money being like the end goal.
Right.
It's about it being a resource
Exactly.
that can help us have a more fulfilling life.
Exactly. It's recognizing that money can be a really powerful force for good
Yeah.
when you use it on purpose and,
Yeah.
and line it up with your values.
Okay, so that brings up another question.
Yeah.
Does being wealthy automatically mean you're going to be greedy?
That's a really common misconception.
Yeah.
And the book tackles this head on.
Okay, good.
There's this really great example he uses about a $5 bill.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that one.
So imagine this $5 bill
Yeah.
is going around a group of people.
Okay.
Each person used that bill to buy something from the next person in the circle. That same $5 ends up creating value for everyone.
Right.
And by the end, it's created way more than just $5 worth of value.
It's like that saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. I love that.
It's such a simple example, but it shows how money moving around
Yeah.
can create this ripple effect of abundance.
So it's not about hoarding all the wealth.
Right.
It's about using it to create value for yourself and for other people.
And that's both thinking right there.
Yes.
You can be wealthy and generous.
Totally.
You can be successful and help others.
Love it.
Mm.
It's like that saying, it is in giving that we receive.
Yes. True abundance isn't just about the stuff.
Right.
It's about feeling connected and contributing to something bigger than yourself.
This is seriously making me rethink some of my own beliefs about money and success.
That's what's so great about this concept.
It is.
It makes us look at what we believe and see if there are other possibilities.
Okay, before we move on,
Yeah.
let's do a quick recap of the key takeaways.
Okay, so we talked about the core idea of both thinking,
Mm-hmm.
how it's different from either thinking,
Right.
and how you can use it for things like business deals or big life choices.
Yeah.
And we also got into the psychology behind it, like those fixed and growth mindsets.
Yes.
And we talked about how money and happiness are connected,
Right.
and how you can be wealthy, 80 generous.
This is a lot to take in,
Yeah,
but it's a great start.
I agree.
So stay tuned as we keep going deeper into this idea of both thinking.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
All right, welcome back. I don't know about you, but I am really liking this whole both thinking idea.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful.
But I'm curious about how we can actually use it.
Right.
Like, how do we shift from that either to this both mindset?
So the first step is to just notice when we're doing that either thing.
Okay.
Like catch yourself when that voice pops up and says, I can't have this end of that.
So it's like a habit we got to break.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of just accepting those limits, we should stop and ask, Is there a way I can have both?
That's it. And sometimes it might not be easy.
Yeah.
You might have to get creative brainstorm, a little think outside the box.
This reminds me of something I'm always struggling with, work-life balance. It feels like I'm always choosing between having a successful career or spending time with family.
That's such a common one.
It is, right.
It's like that classic either trap.
But the author would probably tell me to ask, how can I have a great career and a fulfilling personal life?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just change the whole situation just by asking that question.
I did it right.
Instead of those two things being enemies,
Right.
they can work together.
Okay, so maybe it means making some changes, compromising, finding some creative solutions.
But the key is to believe that having both is possible.
I'm seeing how we can use this for all sorts of things.
You can.
But what about those times when there are actual limits?
Sure.
Like you can't literally be in two places at the same time.
Of course, there are real limits in life,
Yeah.
but even with those limits, we can often find more room for both than we think.
Okay, I need an example.
Let's say you love to travel,
Mm-hmm.
but you have a really demanding job.
Okay, yeah.
The either thinking
Mm-hmm.
would say, well, I got to choose travel or my career.
Yeah. Right, because if I take time off for travel, I might not get that promotion.
Exactly. But with a both mindset,
Yeah.
you start looking for other solutions.
Okay.
Can you work remotely and travel more?
Ooh.
Can you change your schedule to get more vacation time?
Mm-hmm.
Can you use those travel experiences to help you in your career somehow?
I like that. It's finding the win-win even with the limitations.
It's about pushing past those initial assumptions and seeing what's really possible.
You know, it's crazy how much that either thinking is just everywhere.
Oh, it's totally ingrained in our culture.
Like we're always told we got to make sacrifices that we can't have it all.
Yeah, it's always presented as the only option.
And it's not just about money or jobs.
Right.
It's our relationships, our health goals, our creative stuff.
It's everywhere. It's like we're always being told there's not enough to go around.
That scarcity mindset.
Exactly.
So what if we changed that?
Yeah.
What if we embraced that abundance mindset?
That there's plenty for everyone.
That's the whole point of this book, right?
It is.
It's about stepping outside those limited beliefs
Yeah.
and opening ourselves up to more possibilities.
And it's not just about what we can get for ourselves.
It's bigger than that.
Yeah, it's about how we treat others, how we deal with problems in the world.
If we're stuck in that scarcity mindset, it's easy to fall into that us versus them thinking.
Totally. We become competitive. We hold on to what we have and we don't want to share.
But if we believe that there's enough for everybody,
Yeah.
it creates a totally different energy.
A more cooperative, generous spirit.
We go from competition to collaboration,
Yeah.
from scarcity to abundance.
There's a great line in the book,
Uh-huh.
the universe abhors a vacuum.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And then it goes on to say that when we clear out those limiting beliefs
Mm-hmm.
and make room for both, the universe fills that space with amazing opportunities.
I love that. It's like we're magnets for abundance.
It's about changing our energy, our perspective, our whole way of being.
This is way more than just a money strategy.
It is.
It's a whole philosophy, a way of life.
It can change not just our lives,
Yeah.
but the world around us.
And the book talks about being a role model.
Yes, especially for kids.
Right.
He says we got to break that cycle of those limiting beliefs about money.
Oh, I know what you mean. Those beliefs get passed down through families.
And we might not even realize we have them.
It's like we're programmed with that stuff.
He actually calls it programmed garbage.
Wow.
But it's true. We're always hearing those messages.
Yeah.
That money is scarce, that success is a zero-sum game.
That you can't be wealthy and be a good person.
Yeah, and we got to challenge those messages.
Show kids that there's another way to think.
Exactly. So instead of saying money doesn't grow on trees,
Right.
we can say money is a tool that we can use for good.
And we can be those examples ourselves.
Yes.
By being generous.
Yeah.
By supporting causes we care about.
Exactly.
By using our resources to make a difference.
We change the story from scarcity to abundance, from competition to helping each other out.
I'm so glad we're talking about this.
Me too.
I feel like I'm seeing the world in a whole new way.
That's awesome. And remember, this is just the start.
Mm.
The more we practice this, both thinking, the easier it'll get.
So what's the next step?
Just start paying attention to when you're doing that either thinking.
Okay.
Catch yourself in those moments.
And ask, how can I have both?
That's the key that opens the door to so many possibilities.
I'm ready to open that door. All right, welcome back to our deep dive into Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. We've talked about a lot of really interesting stuff,
Well, yeah,
like the whole both thinking thing.
right, and how it can actually work in real life.
Yeah, and the psychology behind it.
But now I want to hear from you, the listener.
Yes.
Yeah.
How can you start using this both thinking, like right now?
It doesn't have to be this big, huge change, you know?
Right.
Start small, keep it simple.
So instead of looking at a giant to-do list and
Ah.
feeling like, ugh, I can only kick one or two things, we can try saying, okay, how can I get a few things done today?
Exactly. Or maybe you're feeling stuck creatively.
Oh,
Instead of, I'm just not a creative person.
right.
Try asking, what's one tiny thing I could do to get those creative juices flowing?
That's a much better way to think about it.
It's all about those small steps.
Yeah. And changing the words we use.
Instead of either,
Yeah.
we start asking, how can I?
Okay, I like that.
It opens up all kinds of new doors.
The author talks about declarative statements.
Oh, yes.
What are those again?
It's like telling the universe what you want.
Okay.
Not just wishing or hoping,
Right.
but saying it out loud with confidence.
So instead of, I wish I could travel more,
Ah.
it's, I am creating opportunities to travel more.
Exactly. You own those desires.
It's kind of like manifesting,
It is, in a way.
but it's not just thinking positive thoughts.
Right.
It's about lining up our thoughts, our words, and our actions.
With what we want to happen.
So we believe both is possible,
Yes.
and we do something about it.
That's the big idea.
You have a millionaire mind.
You do.
You have everything you need to reach those goals.
And create that amazing life.
We are not limited by our circumstances.
Well-
We can change our lives
We can.
by changing how we think and what we believe.
That's the power of this both thinking.
It helps us break free from those limitations
Yeah.
and create a life we really love. This has been amazing. I feel like I'm looking at the world with new eyes.
I'm so glad to hear that. And this is just the beginning.
Right.
Keep exploring. Keep trying new things.
Yeah, and most importantly,
Uh-huh.
have fun. What's the point of abundance if you can't enjoy it?
Exactly. Life's meant to be savored.
Yes.
Experienced to the fullest.
Okay. So, as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with this question.
Okay.
What's one thing in your life
Uh-huh.
where you've been stuck in that either thinking?
What would it look like to start moving toward both?
What could you achieve if you embrace that both power?
Keep asking those questions.
And keep creating a life that is both fulfilling and abundant.
Absolutely.
That's all for this episode of The Deep Dive.
Until next time.
Remember, you have a millionaire mind.